Hello friends, this is Janie. Welcome to Mimicraft, your home for all things creative and DIY on a budget. I make all the mistakes, so you don't have to. Our first DIY is a candelabra made with 90 of Dollar Tree's tumbling tower blocks. Make sure they're all the same size. Glue together the 90 blocks in sets of 2. You'll have 45 sets glued end to end. By the way, you're going to want to use wood glue. I'm using Dollar Tree's Super Glue wood glue, and you can find that in the hardware section. Not necessary, but highly recommended is either some wood filler or spackle if you're going to be painting this. And I like to use a little bit of extra water to thin this out so that it's a little easier to work with. To save sanding time, you can use a wet paper towel or a cloth. You'll see here in a minute that I end up using a cloth to wipe off all that excess product. The first set of 7 blocks that you're going to be gluing together is going to be the template. You'll start with the blocks being about 2.5, maybe a little bit more inches apart. Each layer is glued approximately to the middle of the layer before, and I'm just going to let you watch for a while so you can see what I'm doing. Just kidding, I'm going to talk. I am using a battery operated candle, and this is going to help me to determine, words are hard, how far apart each of these sections should be. Now you can watch, and I will shut up. You want to make sure that the candle fits between the 2 blocks of the second layer. It's actually 4 blocks, but hopefully you're picking up what I'm putting down. There you go. You can see it there. Now you're going to rotate this piece sideways before you continue. And again, just watch for a little bit and see the pattern. Oops, apparently gluing is hard too. Same song, second verse. Make sure you're lining these block sets up with their slow cousins on the left. Here you can see I'm using a square to make sure I'm honest. Ask me how I know. This is my first attempt at the project before I realized maybe I should have checked the size of the candle. Yeah. Nothing that a power tool can't fix. After this dried, I realized I didn't like how the candles were sitting, so this is what I'm going to recommend, that you glue 3 blocks together as you see here on screen, and we're going to glue this into the bottom of all 4 of those little candle holders, and that way the candles will sit halfway up. It'll look a whole lot better. I painted this with Waverly chalk paint in the color Moss. You paint yours any little old color you like. After I painted this, there were a few seams that I was not in love with, so I took an artist brush and I took some of the wood filler and a little bit of water and just painted those separations in, and then followed up with some moss paint to touch it up. Now maybe you're not a fan of green, but
I don't care. I love it. I don't care.
our next project is a lantern, and you'll need 104 same-size blocks, some tissue paper, the kind that you put in gift wrap bags, and some glue. Each lantern side will be 2 sets of 5 and 4 sets of 3. You'll also need 4 singles. You'll see that later on. Again, not necessary, but recommended. If you sand them, they'll look like butter. And this is the assembly. Sets of 5 go between sets of 3. Sets of 1 between sets of 3s. And a single centered on either end to connect both of these rectangles. Here I'm using some wood filler to fill in all of the new seams that I created by attaching all these blocks. Hello, old friend. You're out a piece of tissue paper about the same size as your lantern side. Tear up a bunch of small pieces of tissue paper. We're going to layer these on top of that other sheet. Do whatever size you want and as many as you want. I didn't have the color tissue paper that I wanted, so I am going to be adding paint to this mixture. If you're using just tissue paper, it'll be half school glue, half water. If you need to do paint, it'll be 1/3 school glue, 1/3 water, 1/3 paint. This is doable on parchment paper, but a silicone mat would be a whole lot better. What you're going to do is lay your paper down and you're going to add your wacky mixture. I used a fan brush, which was really nice actually. And you'll put this mixture on top of either your parchment paper or your silicone, and you can see I'm just literally gluing it to my surface. You can see I'm adding glue also to the top, but I found out the hard way that this wasn't necessary, that I needed to add more later on anyway, so you do you, boo. While this was still wet, I added more glue on top and then added the little pieces of paper. And every time you add a piece of paper on, you put more glue on top of that. And how much of this paper that you add, this additional paper, depends on how thick you want this to be, how much you want to be able to see through. You're going to have to just experiment a little bit. I help the drying along with my little heat tool. You could probably do this with the blow dryer as well, or even put it in your oven at the lowest possible temperature. Off camera, I very carefully removed the parchment paper. Remember, I said a silicone mat would be better, but parchment does work. And this is what it looks like all dry. When it was dry, I put a piece of parchment over it, and using a dry iron, no steam, I ironed it out and it just made it look a whole lot better. This is your own homemade paper. Trace the outline of the lantern side and then measure 1/4 inch in, marking all the way around. This will be your cutting line. Scissors worked fine. If you're not good at scissors, try an X-Acto knife and a cutting mat. I placed glue around the perimeter of this, and I actually used wood glue. I think regular, like school glue, would be fine, but the wood glue was there, so I used it. I also added glue to the inside portion there so we would get a real good stick. I placed it on top of the paper, but honestly, you could have just taken the paper and put it on top of the wood. It really doesn't matter. Right side down, put glue on 2 sides of one side of the lantern. That's a lot of sides. And then place another one directly on top of that. A square will help you be accurate. When the first 3 pieces have dried, you can put on the last piece. Make sure all the edges meet, and then I recommend placing something on top of it until it dries. I always use a book. And this is how mine turned out. I stacked 2 battery-operated candles on top of one another as a light source. Isn't she pretty? Project number 3 is a sconce, and you will need 50 tumbling tower blocks and the tissue paper like before. To make this sconce, you're going to make a lantern side like you did before, but you're going to add shorter sides to it, only 2 of them. and they will be made out of 12 blocks each, glued together as seen on screen. I used a battery-operated under cabinet light for this, and I'll leave you a link. I bought it on Amazon. Place the front of the sconce right side down, and then glue the sides to the back. Make sure the paper is going toward the inside. And this is what it should look like. To attach the hanger and the light, I used jumbo craft sticks that I purchased from Walmart. Here I am just measuring how I need to cut them. I made them slightly narrower than the actual sconce. I glued one on top for the hanger and 3 in the middle for the light. A sawtooth hanger would work well, or command strips. Because I use these lights over and over, I attach them with Velcro to the inside of those 3 craft sticks. Usually these lights come with self-adhesive on the back, and you can just use that. Spoiler alert, I made 2. And here's everything as a vignette. I think I like these sconces even better than the lantern. Let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Drop me a like or a comment, and if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Till the next one, bye.